6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
If you have not become a patron of the Geocache Talk Network, what are you waiting for? Patron levels start as low as a Bison Tube level at $3 a month. The sign up is easy. Simply go to the Geocache Talk website and click on the Become a Patron button, or go to patreon.com/Geocache Talk. Patrons now get the famous Blackout coin, invites to special events, and other really great items throughout the year. Become a patron today. Have you subscribed to FTF Magazine yet? FTF Magazine is the #1 geocaching magazine available. It is a quarterly magazine that you can be part of. Submit your geocaching milestones and adventures to be published. FTF Magazine is also interactive with puzzles to solve and the hunt to find Spartacus. If you can solve the puzzle or find Spartacus, then you will be entered in to win a special pack tag. Every new subscription, you will receive a special swag pack. Subscribing is easy. Just visit FTF's website, ftfgeo.com. Don't miss out and subscribe today.
Hello and welcome to Challenge Talk, part of the Geocache Talk Network. You can watch the show live on the first Sunday of each month, and you can feel free to jump over to YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter to watch the broadcast live and join the wonderful and active chat room, or listen to the show and later on your favorite podcast player.
Yeah, and our chat is already really active tonight. And in this episode, we'll be taking a look at caches to watch for when planning for big events like Geo Woodstock or a visit to HQ. We also have prizes to give away each show to our listeners. Between each show, be sure to email your challenge cache finds to challengetalkpodcast@gmail.com and you could be a winner.
And later in the show, we also play our special game exclusively for our live audience, the
Wheel of Challenges.
So listen live, get your email app ready, and follow instructions when the time comes so you can have a chance at winning the grand prize.
And later on, we'll also highlight some of the challenge caches you found, and someone will win our monthly giveaway.
And we are your hosts, Emily and Geoff from Cache the Line.
Hello.
What's new with you?
Well, Cache Fest. I'm kind of still on a Cache Fest high. Wasn't that so amazing? So not only did Geoff and I get to meet in person for the first time, but, you know, we met so many of you. It was fabulous, just fabulous. I even said yesterday, I'm so glad that there's some more geocaching events, big ones, that so many of you are going to this summer, because I want to see you all again. And I'm going to see so many of you again this summer, which is going to be great.
Yeah,
we'll talk more about Cache Fest later.
Yeah, we've got 2 events coming up as well that a lot of people might be to. There was West Bend Cache Bash, I think it's called. That people were at. There's just so many events finally again all over the place that everybody's getting to.
It's amazing. Like, these are our
if only we could get to all of them.
I know. Yeah, I can't get to Geo Woodstock, but I will be in Seattle, so we'll be talking about some planning for some of those upcoming big events. So yeah, I'm coming off my Cache Fest high, or maybe I should say try not to lose my Cache Fest high. And but as soon as I got back from Cache Fest, I got to participate in one of the coin challenges that are so popular here in Oregon. So the movie Stand By Me was filmed in Brownsville, Oregon. And every summer they have a Stand By Me day. And this year, one of a geocacher, a local geocacher, was on the planning committee and convinced them to do a coin challenge. So got to go do a Stand By Me themed coin challenge, which was very fun.
What was involved with that challenge?
So it's they built into it 3 adventure labs, so 15 lab stages, all with a theme around the movie. and the bonus caches, as well as I believe it was 8 traditional caches that you had to find, all had an awesome theme from the movie. So there was a treehouse cache. There was Vern's jars of pennies. Okay, cache for kids. I almost took all the pennies. I was like, score! And I was like, wait. This is a theme. So I left all the pennies and Vern's penny jar cache. So that's just a thing that almost happened. A blueberry pie cache. So many themes from the movie. A cache with leeches all over it. It was so disgusting, but it was an amazing themed day. A challenge. I think it's still going on as long as they have coins left. So people could come and do it.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Look for that one.
Yeah, it was fun. How about you, Geoff? What have you been up to?
Looking back over Cache Fest, and I still haven't logged all the caches I've found.
Oh, wow.
I still have to log them.
Well, you kept going after Cache Fest. You went another week into another mega.
Yeah, there was a long road trip from Ontario all the way down through West Virginia, South Carolina, and then west through Nashville to Memphis for Cache Fest, and then up through Indiana to Ohio for Midwest Geobash. It was a just over 2 week road trip. It was fantastic.
Awesome.
But yeah, so many caches to log. I think I under 200. But there were also adventure labs, and I like to advocate for people to log meaningfully, not just like TFTC or thanks, yeah, we found it and no problems here. Simple things. I like to explain a little more about the experience and what I liked or what was happening. Make it something fun to read. Yeah, try that. So it takes a little extra time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm in that
But
camp.
yeah. But the first target cache that I found on that trip was an absolute essential because it was a challenge qualifier, and it was I forget what month it was placed in, but it was the last one that I needed to complete the California Fizzy GC
great
11E8N. And yeah, that's a well-known Fizzy. If you don't know it yet, that's the one where you've got to complete a full grid of difficulty terrain combinations, but with geocaches all published and only published before April 6th, 2007. And day by day, month by month, year by year, it gets harder and harder because if those oldies get archived, then it gets harder and harder to find a DT for that particular, or a cache for that particular DT spot. Mm-hmm. So it's a tough challenge to finish, but finally found the last one, and there will be a video for that one because, it was a doozy. But yeah, those oldies, man, they could be like one terrain and you're bushwhacking, hiking in half a day. It's just, it could be insane, some of those oldies. But
different times back then, different.
Yeah, the experience, the fun you get with it, and the accomplishment, the success you get at the end, it's worth it.
Great fun.
The only other challenge that I'm still intensely working on, we just had a few new ones published in Ontario for completing a Fizzy with caches found only within specific months. So July, thankfully, I only had one difficulty terrain combo to find in July to complete that challenge. But August, now this month for this next trip, I've got I think another 8 DTs and some more than one each to complete an August Fizzy. So that's a high priority.
That's cool. I hope the trip will help.
Yeah. And Vince just said, now, Geoff, you need to loop that original Fizzy. We're going to get to that later today. Later tonight. There's a good way to help with that. Some interesting stats as well.
Cool.
But yeah, so if you're listening and you have any challenge caching questions, big or small, or accomplishments, then please do email us at challengetalkpodcast@gmail.com. We love to hear from you. It helps inspire us, and we might share the story as well for people who want to place caches as well as qualify for them, whether they're near or far. So every episode, we like to update the statistics about challenge caches as found on Project GC. They provide a little bit of a block on their website that gives us some technical stats about challenge caching on their website. So according to Project GC, as of August 7th, this evening, we have 8,187 active scripts, which is up 145 from last month, which is an increase. These are the scripts that handle all of the challenge algorithms, the checker algorithms across the board. We've got 42,143 unique challenges. So these are the individual types of challenges. There might be 10 of the identical challenge, but 10 caches around the world. So these are the unique challenges, which is up 338 from last month, and 52,110 active tags. And these are basically the unique checkers by GC code, which is up from 492 in individual GCs. Now that includes archived and olds and all that stuff. So if you were just to look at active challenge caches worldwide, that's by the attribute search, the challenge cache attribute, we have 34,597, which is up another 196 from last month. So they're still going up. They're still going up.
All right.
I don't think they'll ever go down. It would take archivals to outweigh publishes. I guess it could be possible, but we don't want to see that.
We don't want to see that. Don't archive your challenge trails. People want to do them.
That's right. We do have a couple of corrections from last month. So we were talking about the fourth Jasmer, and I know I keep getting the month and the country mixed up for the fourth one, but it is actually in Sweden, not Finland. It's in Sweden.
Don't mess up the correction.
And it's August 2000 to get the fourth Jasmer loop. So there's only 4 caches active placed in August of 2000, and the fourth one is in Sweden. The other 3 are in the United States. So if you want to get 4 Jasmers, that's where you got to go.
Doesn't sound too bad. No problem.
It's not a hard one to find, as far as I recall, either. It's just you got to get to Sweden.
Got to get to Sweden, yeah.
The other correction from last month, we were looking at souvenirs on the on your geocaching profile and had sorting enabled. And I keep forgetting this every time. There are browser add-ons that make using the geocaching website a little easier. And I keep having them enabled. So whenever we show geocaches on the video, if you're watching, I often forget to disable those add-ons. And one of those add-ons allows sorting of the souvenirs, which is not currently by default available on your geocaching profile. So,
right.
Minor correction. But if you are interested in those add-ons, we have them linked in the show notes for for past shows. So you can check that out and find them to make all of your challenge caching and just general geocaching using the website a little easier with some nice tools. We have a couple of news items as well. One I thought was really interesting, posted into the geocaching forums by Hugh. He decided to share some stats about completing a fizzy grid similar to the California Fizzy, well, basically the California Fizzy, showing the number of geocaches that exist placed before April 6, 2007. And so you can see basically how many potential loops you could do with that date restriction. And I think the smallest number is 31 of a difficulty terrain 5, 3.5. So it's not too hard to complete the California Fizzy. It might just take some travel.
Right.
But the more interesting stat was the oldest possible DT grid. So basically, if you were to find the oldest active DT in the world for every DT and complete your oldest possible DT Fizzy grid, the youngest, I guess you could call it the youngest one, is GC4B8A Spiring, which I don't remember which DT that is. April 10th, 2002. Let's see. That April 10th. Oh, I can't. Yeah. Well, it's basically, yes, April 10th, 2002 is the latest date that you could complete the oldest Fizzy, if that makes sense.
It's
a great stat, though. It's intriguing.
That I love stats. I love people coming up with stats I would have never thought of before. That's a fun one.
Yeah. Looks like it's the 4.5, 2.5. So that's the oldest active 4.5, 2.5, placed April 9th, 2002. That's the last one you'd need to get to complete that particular challenge. which obviously would not be able to be published today.
Right.
We also have an accomplishment to highlight from Liz Downey. If you know who Liz Downey is, it's a couple. They do some very extreme geocaching, and they have quite a number of finds. But they just recently passed 5,000 Terrain 1 Terrain 1 finds. They do a whole lot of paddle caching, and I mean,
Do you mean
just look
terrain
at that
5
column.
finds?
Terrain 5s. Did
Yes.
I say difficulty 5s?
You said terrain 1.
Oh, whoa. Terrain 5s. Yes, over 5,000 Terrain 5 geocache
Awesome.
finds. And
Very awesome.
to everyone's knowledge, they are legitimate. They do a whole lot of paddling, traveling around, and yeah, it's just that's quite the accomplishment.
That's great.
mean,
And
you
that's
can
a
see-
lot of fun. That's a history of a lot of fun they've had.
Oh, definitely. And how weighted that DT grid is over to the high terrains. Yeah, that's a good one.
And Vince
So-
is saying in the chat that they're in their 70s. And that
Yes.
is not stopping them.
That's right. There's no stopping age. That's the thing. That's the best thing about this hobby. Do it young, old, all of that. Get started when you're young, but yeah,
And then just keep going.
that's right. So congrats, Liz Downey. So, yes, Cache Fest is over. We're looking back and just kind of seeing what it was all like and just letting everything sink in. And so if we could do a little bit of a recap for those of you who didn't quite make it to Cache Fest, what we did, at least, what the Challenge Talk, what the Challenge Academy did for that mega event. And yeah, like we essentially wanted to bring the idea and the concept of challenge caches to the community. And, you know, there's a lot of people who might attend the mega who are beginners or who have never heard of a challenge cache. And so we thought it'd be a great opportunity to encourage this mentality of accomplishing goals. Because we cover challenge caches, but we also cover other things like completing personal goals and things that are unchallenges, things that may not necessarily be challenge cache related either. It's like goal completion. So that was kind of what we wanted to provide with the Challenge Academy portion of Cache Fest. And so we'd created a number of passports, 3 passports. One of them, which seemed like you guys really, really picked it up. We loved doing it, was the pre-event GeoTrail passport.
Yeah, we had so many of those turned in. There were 4 different trails on those, and people were doing any given, one or more of the trails. So the trails spoke to different people who had different abilities of completing them. And I loved seeing you guys come in, tell us about the fun you had getting ready for Cache Fest, how those trails pumped you up. So that was really great to see how many people participated ahead of time.
Yeah, and it's amazing how many people love like photo scavenger hunts.
Yeah.
It was so hard to keep track of all the photos you shared with that Challenge Academy hashtag. It was a lot of photos.
It was.
And I think we mentioned as well there was another geocache to find out west that had a similar challenge, a pre-moratorium challenge that was I think it was 30 photos you had to take and publish or post as a note on the cache listing in order to qualify for that challenge. People love these photo scavenger hunts. But that was just one trail, one of the 4 trails. The other 3 were accomplishing relatively common statistical accomplishments. Nothing too extreme, but in the hopes of like perhaps getting you to take a look at your statistics that you may not have done before and aim for that goal. But that was for 2 months leading up to the event. And then at the event, we had the other 2 passports. One was kind of your typical social bingo card, find somebody who's done this and that and complete your goal, complete your bingo grid.
Right. And what we tried to do with that bingo grid was make it challenge themed, So one of them was find a person who never found a challenge cache.
Mhm.
And amazingly, that was a really hard one to find. So that means a lot of people are challenge caching. And it also meant when we found the teenager who had never done it, we sent most people his way.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and also thanks to Pizza Ninja who helped with the tracking a lot of the photo scavenger hunts, photos on social media. That
Yeah.
was a whole lot of work as well.
Mhm.
And the third trail, the third passport was something for people to complete at the event. We called it the Adventure Passport, where essentially the same kind of thing as adventures. You're going to locations and answering a question about that location. In this case, it was writing down the answer on your passport so you could bring it in. And so it was more of a get outside and find stuff.
Right, and highlighting
basically
our
what we would do
awesome
geocaching.
Shelby Farms event location, which was so vast. I certainly didn't see a fraction of it. So we hoped that that passport would get everyone out and seeing the highlights of Shelby Farms.
Yeah. And yeah, we had prizes to give away for people who brought in their
We
passports.
gave away so many
So many
prizes. We had to go to Plan B on prizes even.
Uh-huh.
But that was fun. It was amazing to have so much participation.
Yeah, and we love your feedback. We loved hearing, meeting you and hearing your comments about what you enjoyed or what you thought could have been better. We like to hear that because if we do it again, we want to do it better. It can always be done better.
Yeah.
But no, like feedback that we got was just great. We
Yeah, you
loved
guys
hearing
were
you,
so
and,
gracious and too much.
Yeah. Well, Emily is having a little bit of a technical problem with internet, so but yeah, no, so that was a lot of fun. And then we had our challenge session, so our Challenge Academy session where we got to sit down with you guys, with everybody who was in attendance. The room was packed, and we just kind of held a live challenge talk
Right.
podcast in a way. Although it was an hour and a half.
It was, trying to talk to anyone in the room who might be brand new, clear up to a lot of your smiling faces. A lot
Yeah.
of you in the chat were there. And so that was really interesting to talk to you guys live, to see your faces, see your reactions.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
much different than a night here on Challenge Talk.
Yeah, so that was a lot of fun, and and that's not even saying what the other academies were doing. They did a fantastic job as well. We had the Gadget Talk Academy, or the Gadget Academy, building a gadget cache by hand with instruction. It was a paid thing, so you have to pay to get the package because there's a lot of physical parts that you've got to put together. But again, the feedback from that was fantastic.
I felt so accomplished by building that gadget. It was amazing.
I still have to build mine.
Oh no.
I missed my session. I couldn't get to the session, but I got the
We had
package
trouble
and I have it
getting
at
there.
home.
Yeah, I was glad to make it to the session. You
Yeah.
guys
Oh
kept
yeah,
us
because everybody
busy.
for the academy, for the challenge, everybody came right at the beginning of the day, so it was lineups, and we were trying to get through everybody and check everybody's passports, spinning the challenge wheel, and it was just super busy for that for the most of the first half of the day.
Yeah.
It was just pretty insane. And then the Puzzle Academy as well, they had their session. They were talking about puzzles, and there were puzzles in the package if you bought the VIP package. So another good tip, if you're going to a mega event, check to see if they've got packages to buy, because for one, it helps support the event, and two, you get some really cool stuff. I mean, the package we got for Cache Fest was just filled with geocoins and path tags and stickers, and it was just like you can't pass up that opportunity.
I can never pass up the VIP package of any event.
Yeah, I personally like when there's VIP parking at mega events.
We had that too, and there's been some fun videos come out. We had a Bob Billy parking video. You guys got to check that out.
Yeah. Cache Tales, yep. So overall, the Cache Fest in Memphis, especially with all of the surrounding events, was just a wonderful, excellent event in Memphis. And looking back, there's a whole lot of memories made.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
And now we're looking forward to the next two giant events that we're attending, and so many of you are as well. So we wanted to talk about what can we do? You might have your plans set, but maybe there's some room to add some stuff to your plans to help you accomplish some challenges, accomplish some meeting statistics. Yeah, that kind of stuff. So we're going to talk through that, both based on Geo Woodstock and the HQ celebration.
Yeah. So we often talk about, I think we've had a couple of episodes talking about planning for road trips and seeking out challenge qualifiers. And so with these two events coming up, it's a good opportunity to go over some of those types of challenge qualifiers to consider for these locations, and some specific rare ones that you might not want to miss if you are in attendance. And so if we look over to BC with British Columbia, we've got the Geo Woodstock coming up in Abbotsford in BC. And they have been working, what's a good phrase? Hands over feet, head over tails, something like that, to plan out.
Working hard, yeah.
Yeah, to plan out a Giga event. It is no small feat. That's, if you don't know, mega event is up to 500 approximately in attendance, and a Giga event is up to 5,000 or more in attendance, and thousands of people coming through one location throughout a day or a couple of days is still a whole lot to handle, and providing an event, organizing, partnering with tourism, and all that stuff. It's a lot of work. And so the Geo Woodstock is now, I believe, the second Giga event in North America.
Correct.
That's huge in and of itself. And it has been delayed. It was supposed to be in 2020, and it got delayed. It was 2020? Yeah, it was 2020.
Yeah, it was 2020.
And 2 years. This is all 2 years into one summer, pretty much. So that's coming up on Saturday. And so that's less than a week away.
Yeah, and
But
many people are on the road, heading there, getting ready to head out. It's exciting to see everyone's travels that they're on.
Yeah. So there are a number of specific geocaches and things to look for if you are heading to BC for Geo Woodstock. And, we can always say, yeah, look for the oldies, look for high favorites. These are pretty standard fare if you're trying to take advantage of a new location that you're caching at. But one of the things that I think is really cool in BC, there is a geo art of challenge caches.
Love it.
It's Kelowna's Challenge Bear, and it's literally a geo art of a bear, 100 challenge caches, and these are all lined up basically on roadsides in the foothills just northwest of Kelowna. And the puzzle, I think the locations are all available in the listings, so it's not hard to do. But I can't look at I guess you can look at the map itself. But just loading it up here. Let's go to the browse map. Here we go. And yeah, you can just see it's like all along these roads. It's all dirt roads from what I hear. There's another geo art. Run, Cacher, run.
Love that.
Running away from the bear. But this is one to look for. You can see it just there at the original locations, just outside of Kelowna. It's about 4 hours northeast of Abbotsford. So it's about a 4-hour drive to get there, and it could be an all-day adventure if you're going to do that.
Yeah,
but that's challenge caches.
That's great. That's great.
I don't think they're all that hard. They're like not ridiculously hard. I mean, there could be some variations, but I mean, it's intended to be a challenge bear. But that's one to look for if you have the time for it.
Right.
Of course, you can't miss up BC's first cache, the oldest active geocache in BC. And that's GC1DD, Tree Hugger, BC's first cache. It's 2 difficulty, 2.5 terrain, and it really isn't all that difficult to get to. It's in a little foresty area, and just off a trail, not too hard. There's a little bit of a climb for some hills, but it's just outside of the Victoria Airport. So, if you're in the area in Vancouver, that's an absolute essential to find.
Awesome.
Because there are challenges for finding the oldest cache in X number of regions or whatnot. So that's states and provinces, countries, that sort of thing. So you don't want to miss the one in BC.
And we got a few people in the chat saying it's on the plan. They're getting it done this week.
Yeah, this should help forming the itineraries. Another one, we've got one that I think has shown up in a few videos, perhaps, but Doctor Who FVC B5, published in May 2022. It is unofficially, arguably, the largest cache in BC. It is a TARDIS.
That's so cool.
I mean, you can't pass up a TARDIS. But it's on somebody's property. It's there with permission. You can park right beside it. And if we view the gallery, you can see that it is a TARDIS that somebody has built. And, they say unofficially the largest in BC. It could be. I think there's a large ammo can. Most regions have a large ammo can that you can step in. But that's one you probably don't want to miss either. It looks like it's basically a closet that you can walk in. So it's not like that very famous TARDIS that you're playing Simon. It's not Simon Says. What is it called again? That game with the colors that you got to hit.
It's just called Simon, I guess. I don't know.
Simon? Yeah, maybe. And don't want to miss that one. That's GC1DD Tree Hugger. No, that's the wrong one. Not GC9QX5E Doctor Who. It is a letterbox as well. Then as well, oh yes, there is now also what you don't want to miss. Get it on the list. GeoTour. Let's do this.
And I love GeoTours.
C8.
They highlight the best of the best locations.
Yep.
I will travel for GeoTours.
Yeah. It's being promoted with Geo Woodstock, and it's recently published. But that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 caches. No, at least 10. 11, 12, 13, however many. That number of caches. In and around Abbotsford. So if you're there for Geo Woodstock, you'll want to find these because there is a geocoin as well. There is a passport, and the website is also linked. So you can do all of that. Fairly standard fare for a geo tour, and it's got 34 favorites already. So make sure you get those caches on your itinerary for someday. I'm sure this one looks like it's not so super far and wide that it couldn't be completed within even maybe half a day, it looks like. So if you can do that, go for it.
Looks fun.
15 caches, says Butterfly Girl.
Cool. That was very doable.
Yep. So, and if you have any other caches that you think should be added to the BC Geo Woodstock itinerary, then let us know. We can add those to the show notes as well.
Yeah, let us know what you guys are up to, what you guys consider a must-to-do for British Columbia.
Mm-hmm. But a week later, we were done with BC and heading just a few hours south because it's 2022. It's 22 years after the first geocache was placed. And so we're celebrating 20 years of geocaching 22 years later at geocaching headquarters. Finally, we're getting our 20-year celebration at HQ. And they've been doing a whole lot of work. I'm not sure what the attendance count on their event is, but it's through the roof.
Mm-hmm.
And so they've got the headquarters being open for visitors. You do have to book time because obviously there's going to be a whole lot of people. But that's, I guess, is pretty much the very first one, absolutely essential if you're in Seattle, if you're heading to HQ is
go to
head
headquarters.
To HQ.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, they're known for their giant trunk geocache. I think I understand that if you're visiting during this event time, it won't be exactly the same kind of experience. It's not going to be in their lobby that has a lot of tech and things on display and such, but still, you'll get to experience the giant trunk and going through that massive logbook and have that part of your experience.
Yeah, if you visit the HQ cache, it gives links to how to schedule a visit, because you need to schedule a visit to the visitors center, and with the event happening next week, you also have to schedule a time to sign the cache. I believe that's how they're working it. So you can visit the visitor center, and then you can also find the actual physical cache at HQ. See if I can find it here. So geocaching HQ is GCK25B, and yeah, it's from 2004, and you can see all the information, all the requirements. You can book a 30-minute time slot to reserve for visiting the office, the visitor center, and given you can book your appointment. Yes, so you must reserve a different type of time slot in order to visit the visitor center during this time, which is these 2 weeks, the busy weeks, so August 15th to 19th and 22 to 26. It is free, but you have to book those slots. That's
right. And so even if you're not making it out for this mega celebration, this is available to do. Highly, if you go to Seattle, you got to go to headquarters. Yeah, it's highly suggested.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, if you're there off season, is it ever off season for geocaching? Off busy season, then it'll be a lot easier to get in, to chat with people and all of that. It's just super busy, but I mean, you can't avoid that if you're coming for a major event.
Right.
Yeah. But there are a whole bunch of other essential caches to visit around HQ during this time. One of them, of course, very, very famous, Mission 9, Tunnel of Light. It is the one of 2 remaining active ape caches. This is a special icon, and as a quick review, the ape caches were a partnership between geocaching and I can't remember the studio, but the movie studio behind Planet of the Apes. So they did a little promotional partnership and hid how many geocaches were there? I can't remember. Around the world.
Caches.
13, right? And they were around the world, and all of them they had things like elements, assets from the movie set, and so for first to find prizes, I think, a number of things to discover, and the vast majority of them, except for 2, have been archived. There are some tribute caches as well, but it's either Seattle or Brazil.
Right. So this is another, you got to hit it up in that area if you can.
Yep.
Kind of cache.
And they run a mega event every year, essentially, for people who want to enjoy the hike out to Mission 9. This year, because of all of the activity and pandemic stuff, they decided to shift. It wasn't pandemic. It was construction or something. In any case, the mega event had to be moved to September, a month later. So you can still find the ape cache, and a lot of people are going to be doing that when they visit HQ. But yeah, if you want to do the mega event as well, then it'll be September.
Right. So this is, let's see, east of Seattle, and it's going to be about a 6-mile round trip walk or bike ride, however you do it, through a 2-mile long former train tunnel. So it's quite the experience. And while you're there, there's a cache inside the tunnel. You'll definitely want to check that out. It's there's no service, no GPS service, but there's ways to get it done. And then
it's dark.
It's so dark. It's so great. And also, when you get out of the tunnel, there is a very old cache called Iron Horse, and it was hidden in October of 2000. And so you want to plan your trip. Not only know what you're in for and make sure you're capable of the walk or the bike ride, but plan for those extra caches too. Yeah, you can see there. You can almost see that straight line on the map between the entrance of the tunnel.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the entrance
where there's an
at
earth cache, correct?
Iron Horse Speleothems. That's inside the tunnel. And there's a cache inside the tunnel. Bloody fingers, dirty diapers. There's at least one in the tunnel. And
Yeah, those I think are on top of the tunnel,
Yeah,
so those are a
because-
hike.
yeah, there's trails on top. You can do the hike on top if you want to. It's just a whole lot longer.
It's very different.
And then Iron Horse is at the exit, and it's kind of just up the slope a little bit.
Yeah, it's just a side trail, very easy to get, so you don't want to miss it.
Yeah. And then there's a little bit of a hike. Still further out, there's another Boy Scout cache, and then you follow the curve, and then there it is, Mission 9, Tunnel of Light. Impossible to miss.
Right. It's a pretty large cache.
Yeah.
And there's, of course, a gigantic story of it going missing, being found again. So all you have to do is search the internet for ape cache and a few keywords, and you'll find all of that history.
Yeah. So there are a few others. We'll see if we can skim through some of these. We've got another oldie, GCD. That is when it was a one single digit letter for the D.
Yeah, and that's out
Geocache.
near Snoqualmie Pass too. So if you're out
Yeah.
doing the ape cache, this will be, maybe on the same day or same time frame.
Yep. And this is a must-have because it's a June 2000, so it's 1 month after geocaching started. It was placed, and it is it's rated 3.5 terrain, which I think some might say is on the low end, but I think that's relatively accurate. It is not an extensive, lengthy hike, but it's a fairly compressed vertical hike. You
That's a good
are
way
going
to put
to
it.
be
Yeah.
hiking, doing switchbacks up Mount Margaret quite a few times until you get to a forest. And then you get to go through the forest with a few switchbacks as well. And but eventually you get to near the top where there's where you can come up and find this oldie large. Well, it's a regular size, but it's a fairly large cache. Up there, and then there are a few others around it as well, so you can continue following the trail to Margaret, which is a 2013 kind of new one, and you can head all the way up to the top of Mount Margaret for Mount Margaret, which was placed in 2021. It's a 4 terrain, and there's a few more around the area and along the trail, but that is another oldie essential. But that's an afternoon at least. That hike, and take a lot of water, especially if it's hot.
Right.
Because you can see how much back and forth. A lot of it is dirt trail with some bushes on either side, but it's up, 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 up. There's a couple of spots where it's kind of clear and you can look out. You can see Mount Rainier, I believe, in the distance on one side. And I think there's a bench or two in a couple of spots, if I recall. But it's another one of those hikes that when you're done, you feel accomplished.
Yes.
And Curious KDB makes a good point. You shouldn't do it alone. Doing it with a friend on Thursday before the HQ event.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Because it's so intense on the climbing and the heat, it's safe to do it with people. Now, chances are you're going to be crossing paths with a number of people on that trail, especially this weekend. There's going to be a lot of people doing this cache. Almost every day, I would say.
Then there are a number of webcam caches. If you're traveling between Woodstock and Seattle, there's a number to get. Some of them you might have to take a ferry to get to a certain place where the webcam is, but there's plenty where you don't have to get a ferry. So, with the number of webcams decreasing rapidly, it's a really good chance or a really good idea to get what you can, whatever might be along your path, and even a little out of the way of your path. So I'm considering an out of the way one on my way up to Seattle because they're just that rare.
Yep. And I know what I did was just did a search for webcams in that whole area, and there were quite a lot that I don't yet have, and some I think might take a little bit of effort to get to, but you don't want to miss out on them.
Right.
So yeah, you can see, looking at the map here, we've got Bellingham, there's one, and then you're getting down to Everett onto Langley and Indian Island, and down into Seattle, there's SR 520, and then downtown High 5 over I-5. Some of these you may have already gotten if you've been to the area, but yeah, and there's one way down Morton Loggercam down before Portland. So do a search and then look for all the ones that you haven't got and get them added.
Right. And you know, for some of them, like High 5 on I-5, you got to be prepared because the camera switches directions. And I'm a stickler for rules. I'm not going to take a selfie for a webcam cache. That is not what they are. So I have got to be prepared for whatever direction this webcam is facing.
Yep. Look at it first and then plan your approach.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's one currently in BC that's disabled. Don't know what's going to happen.
Don't let it be the death.
That's in Victoria on the island. But somebody has gone through and found another camera that could potentially replace it because it's the same location, just a different URL. So we'll see what happens. But hopefully it doesn't get archived. Got to do those. There is another one that's an extremely rare opportunity.
This is exciting. This is so on my list.
This is Space Flight Academy. It's GC5 GT6J, and it is the bonus to an adventure lab, but it is also a cache with a very, very rare attribute, the partnership attribute.
Right.
Because it is a partnership between geocaching and another organization, and so they add that attribute to let people know. And there's only a handful, at least, especially in North America.
There's only 4 in the United States or North America. I forget which stat. I think United States. And so you can't just go adding this icon to your own cache pages. It is extremely rare. So it will take admission to the museum, completing the adventure lab, which of course we're going to do that. And then, like Geoff said, it's the bonus to the adventure lab, but that's going to be so worth it. And I'm doing it.
Yep. And that's the little, the 2 hands shaking. That's the partnership attribute. If you have that opportunity, I just got that one on my little road trip down to Memphis.
Did you get it in Nashville?
Yes. Yep. That one with the dinosaurs. There's only a couple opportunities, so you don't want to miss up. So make sure that one's on your itinerary as well.
Right.
Now, of course, we have to mention HQ's own Geo Tour. It is still up. It's GT29. Oops, not that one.
And these are great caches. I finished their Geo Tour years ago, and they're all fun caches. There used to be more caches on the tour, but because of tour changes, there's a cache on the tour, the virtual, that I never got. So that's on my list for getting that.
Same.
So even though I finished the tour, I'm gonna finish the tour again.
Yep. And yeah, you get souvenir. I think the Geo coin you have to purchase, but they have the link to the passport and all that. Now, the one thing that I was hoping I wanted to add to the list, but I was sad to see it has been archived. It's the cherry tree.
That was a fun one.
It's part of the Geo Tour, but it was archived. The cherry tree, CHAIRY.
Right. It was a tree full of chairs.
Yeah, and it's been featured in blogs and videos and all that, and it was like one of the staple geocaches you have to find when you're in Seattle. at HQ. But yeah, unfortunately, there were some issues, and they couldn't find a suitable replacement, so it was
Right.
archived back in 2020 October.
Right. And headquarters is in a really um, unique neighborhood, and they highlight a lot of those unique things with their geo tour. But
Yeah.
as you're walking around doing the geo tour, you will see these really awesome things in their fun neighborhood.
Yeah. So, again, if you have other caches that you think are essential to find, whether because they're super rare or statistically relevant or could help with challenge qualifiers, then by all means let us know, post a comment, send us an email. We'll see if we can get them added in case people look before heading over to HQ, and for perpetuity's sake as well.
Hey, I've listened to pre-event podcasts and have changed my itinerary, added things in. So yeah, all
Yeah, for sure.
suggestions welcome.
And yeah, so we can always say, look, like I said before, you can always look for the go-to qualifiers like the oldie caches, high favorites, extremely rare DTs. But what I always do is I've got the list of challenges that I'm working towards, and the ones especially that require traveling, prioritize searching for those qualifiers, how specific you might need to be to find them, and then see if you can add them to the itinerary if possible, because that might be your only chance to find and qualify for those challenges. But there's a couple of others a couple of other things to search for that I think are relevant, especially to BC and HQ. And one of them has to do with altitude, because there are some challenges that require finding caches below sea level or super high up on the mountains, like over 2,500 meters, which I don't know what that is in feet for you U.S. people. But if you are in BC or Seattle, those caches that are along the shoreline, chances are they will register as either 0 or less than 0, as negative altitude. Because, well, if you look at the terrain map, if the ground is below the level of sea, then those coordinates could register as below sea. If you're, like, say, out on a dock or a pier, then that could count as below sea level.
Right.
So
Take that chance if you're not a coastal dweller. Yeah.
Yeah. Consider looking for that. And there actually is a tool to help with that. There's nothing that you can really search for altitudes easily, because it's an additional property that's calculated. So Project GC does have a tool that allows you to search for by altitude. So on Project GC, under the tools map, you can go to the live map. It'll start centered on your home location. But if you go to the filters on the top left icon for the live filters, there is an elevation slider, and you can change your elevation.
Cool.
So let's say we were looking for caches below sea level. It can be kind of tight because it's very sensitive. It's a whole lot of distance to cover in pixels. But let's say negative 10,000 to 0 meters. There we go. And then you hit apply. And because it always shows up to 1,000 results, it'll update with the number of caches that are below 0 meters. I may have been zoomed out too far. Let's head over to... Oh, there we go. Yeah, so its algorithm to do the searches is very complex. But it will update and do this search and actually show all of the caches that list as below sea level.
That's a lot.
Isn't that
You have a lot
handy?
to choose from.
Yeah, and notice on the map, if you're listening, there's a map now of Victoria and Seattle area, and all of these caches that are showing up seem to be along the shoreline. Go figure. So that is another tool to make good use of, and you can use it for, say, high altitude. So if I wanted above 2,500 meters, because there's one for that, you can go 2,480 to 10,000. And I think once it's done... Oh, it was doing a very large search. Let's see if it'll update. Ah, snap. The browser crashed. 2,500 meters and higher. Well, ish. There aren't too many. So there are a few in the mountains in BC. There's a bunch. And then a couple down in the south and the Pacific Northwest. You can see all these high altitude caches. So that's a tool that you might want to make use of. Most of these could be long hikes and difficult to get to, but if you want the altitude, there's your way.
And think about this, no matter what travels you have in your future, different attributes that you could possibly get that are not available in your home area.
Yeah. And so the other thing is, if you can find those high altitudes with along roadsides or ski hills with lifts, that's a prime opportunity. That'll get you easy hard caches. Easy hard caches. What else can we say? Seattle is loaded with high favorite caches because they're just so good chance you'll hit those qualifiers, and of course cache types. If you're at HQ, you've also got HQ, which is an icon of its own, and HQ Celebration. So if you're there
which is
next
going to
week
be
for
its own
HQ
unique
Celebration,
icon. I'm so pumped for that, to have another icon. Yeah.
So if you want a high icon day, there's another good opportunity.
And then if your travels take you outside of Seattle even more, there's so many old caches in Northern Oregon. So that could be even more that you could add to your trip or make a future trip to do.
Yeah, there's a whole lot to search for and plan on this road trip. But I think it's time we got to get to our games.
We got to,
give out some prizes. We have to figure out what we're actually going to start giving up now, because I think we are out of geocoins right now.
I know. Yeah, changes, guys. We got to make some changes.
Yes. So we will have some prizes once we figure out what we can give away. Good stuff. So first of all, I think it's time that we get to our
Wheel of Challenges.
And we are going up right now. So, one live viewer each month will be selected to face off against the wheel and have a chance to win the grand prize. To enter, send an email with a subject containing "spin me" followed by your geocaching username in brackets and the answer to the following question. The first verified user gets the wheel, and your profile will be checked live on Project GC, and if you qualify, you win. And now, the question for this month that you will need to answer as fast as you can is this. In what city is Geo Woodstock being held this week?
All right.
I hope you all know that.
And as we were discussing, spelling won't count, because we were a little unsure of the spelling at first.
I keep forgetting how many letters is it. This number, is it that number?
Right.
And it's because it's a proper name, it may or may not get auto-corrected. And blah.
Yeah, so we'll
So that
take
won't matter.
reasonable answers, yes.
It is not the capital of
No.
the location, the region. But let's see, they're starting to roll in. I think we can go with the first one, which is correct. Although she did put "sping me" with a G. But I think that's fine. It is Kitty Catch. She has answered the correct answer,
and fun fact, she is in North America listening today, if you will, instead of tomorrow morning.
That's right.
Yeah, so thanks I'm glad you were able to join us.
So we now have to spin the wheel and see. So we actually had this wheel in physical form at Challenge Academy, which was pretty
great.
cool.
Yeah, it was.
So let's spin this wheel and find out what difficulty she's got to qualify. Oh, I missed the spin. Oh my gosh.
Ooh.
1 star. It is GC53 GPC, the mega rare challenge cache.
And I think it's mega rare that we hit a 1 star on this wheel.
Yeah, that's so. This was placed 2014, April 26th, 4.5 terrain, 1 difficulty, and it is in the UK. Ooh. The cache, to log the cache, one must have found at least 2 terrain 5 caches in 1 day, but not including 5 difficulty 5 terrain 5 caches, because they can be, I guess because there's so many liar caches that 5 5s are kind of easy.
I guess.
So,
okay.
yeah, two 5 terrain caches in one day, not including a 5-5. And because it's pre-moratorium, as a quick review, there is no Project GC checker in the description because it's old. But with the Project GC add-on, I remember this time, that little browser add-on provided by Project GC also shows any checkers that are associated with that GC code that someone might have created for it. So old pre-moratorium caches can have a checker. You can also find them if you search on Project GC for the GC code, but having that add-on really helps. Mm-hmm. So Project GC checker, mega rare, challenge cache, kitty catch. In brackets, one word, kitty catch. There we go. And run checker. Qualified. Timing is so important. Congratulations, you qualified for the one difficulty challenge back in August 30th of 2015.
Cool.
Yay!
Who knew? Back on that date. It would count for this.
So we'll be in touch, and then we'll get you your prize ASAP. So we also like to we'll highlight a couple of caches for monthly challengers. We like to highlight a congratulatory shout out to listeners who also email us proof of qualifying and logging a challenge cache since the last show. And anyone who sends an email to challengetalkpodcast@gmail.com with the GC code having a found log will be entered into the prize giveaway.
And you know what was so unique this month was so many folks told us that they qualified for this challenge based on their trip to Cache Fest, or they found it during Cache Fest or their trip to Cache Fest. So Cache Fest played a huge part in this month's qualifying caches for a lot of folks. And I loved it. Thank you all for sharing that as a part of your quest.
It was great. So our first one we will highlight, I thought this was kind of entertaining.
This is entertaining.
9F72D. It is the JCCS Cache for the Border Challenge. Chicken. I don't know, chicken. But the challenge cache is attainable by many cachers. This is at the posted coordinates. To meet the requirements, you must find a cache in Georgia and all of the states that border Georgia, as well as all of the states that border all of the states that border
Georgia. I know. At first I read that, I'm like, what? Is that a duplicate? But no, I love it. I love it.
It's a good idea, and it's fun to say.
It is fun to say.
And so they've got the list of all the states that you need to find caches in. But yeah, that was a fun one. And it's a 3.5 difficulty. So this was sent in by Sims Quest. Nice one. And yeah, she said that it was found because of Cache Fest.
Cache Fest.
Next up, we've got one in from Team Tailwagger, and it is GC4D PVJ, the Reaching the Peak Challenge. And this one was published 2013, pre-moratorium. Oh, images are not available. TinyPic is not around anymore. Requirements. To log this cache, you must have at least one cache that is or was located 1 mile above sea level. And I'm glad they put 5,280 feet. 1 mile, I don't know what 1 mile is. But I realized before the show, 1 mile. We always say 0.1 mile for the proximity. And that's 528 feet. So 1 mile, 10 times more than that, 5,280 feet.
Exactly.
And so you've got to find that, just one above that elevation. So not hard, but yeah, well, probably not hard. I don't know what is hard. It's different from region to region.
It really is.
If you live in Nevada, I can't remember what the average altitude is for all of those desert roadsides, but it's up there. So, good one sent in from Team Tailwagger. We've always got to have altitude challenges, and that's another one you can search for on your road trip to out west if you're heading to those events. Mm-hmm. Next up, we have one GC4APAP sent in from Neil Moore. It is the 1020 challenge. And this one is from 2013, 5 difficulty. The challenge is for those well-traveled cachers who have found at least 10 caches in at least 20 different states or provinces. And it's a traveler's cache, but he also mentions that in his recent trip to Memphis, he was able to up his numbers in Mississippi, Missouri, and Tennessee, which pushed him into qualifying.
Woo! Another Cache Fest success story.
That's right. And it's another one that you may not necessarily pay attention to for road trips. So what I've done is on all those challenges that I'm working towards or know of, I actually tag them as like a traveling challenge.
Okay.
So I know if I'm going somewhere distant, I've got to look at this challenge. It may or may not be relevant to where I'm going, but I'm not going to forget to look at that one.
Right. Make a plan.
Mm-hmm. So another congrats for the Memphis Cache Fest trip. Next up, we have one from Star Cacher. It's GC89Y2F, the Mega Sawbuck Challenge. And, well, hey, because this is all about events and meeting these requirements at mega events, this one is from 2019 in Ohio, Fulton County, near Midwest Geobash, where you have to have attended 10 mega events. Now, that could be super rare as well.
It could be, and he made a comment that it's true, and it was kind of a situation in my life for a while where I had gone to large-sized events, but I had never been to a mega event because these large-sized events had different qualifiers than a mega, and so he had, I think he said 9 megas and a giga. So even though he had a giga, it didn't count for this challenge until we hit that 10th mega.
Yep, and I don't think it doesn't include gigas. It has to be mega events.
That was my understanding.
Yep. So yeah, definitely one also to watch for if you're attending all of these events that are out this year. We have one more. This one is sent in from Merlin1392. It is GC9E0KV, the Mile High Challenge, 3 difficulty. It is from 2021, post-moratorium, and it's in Indiana. And in this one, the cache is at the postal coordinates. In order to claim the find, you must have found 20 caches at or above 1 mile. The Mile High Challenge.
So we have a 1 and then we have a 20. So many
qualify for this one, you qualify for the other.
Yep.
Yeah. That's the other thing. If you can sort your challenges to all the same types of requirements and then work for the hardest one, you can qualify for all the other easy ones.
Right.
Yep. So that one's in Indiana from Steve Pre2. So altitudes, something to watch for when you're going out west. If you got a day.
To get it.
Yeah. Anyway, those are some of the ones that were sent, and there were a whole lot more, and we love to get them from you. So as always, we like to hear from you. So make sure that you send in an email to challengetalkpodcast@gmail.com with your challenge caching finds. 1, so we can highlight them, and 2, so you can have a chance to win.
Right.
So remember to send them in before next month's show. And this month's monthly challenge winner, let's get the drum roll, is Neil Moore.
Yay! Congratulations.
We will once again be in touch to get you your prize ASAP. And we have covered everything for this show, and I think we've kind of hit our time just about average. It's tough to get everything into one show.
We have so much good stuff to talk about.
Yeah. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in again this month. The next show is September 4th, the first Sunday of every month. So be sure to mark that on your calendar. And show notes, as always, will be posted to the description shortly after the show. And, well, as always, thank you for watching and listening. And remember, it's not about the numbers. It's about the challenge.
That's right. Hey, we'll see so many of you in the Pacific Northwest real soon. Can't wait.
Yes. Yep. Have a good one. See you next time.
Bye.